We were ordered to storm a German trench to try and capture a few lads and bring them back to our lines. When we got there, well, wasn't a soul to be found. It was as if they left in a hurry. Rifles left laying about, jars of jam, bread, you name it, they left it. We were all silent. Of course, you had to be during a raid. Well, my sergeant, he turned to us and broke the silence. "It's awfully quiet, lads," he said. I didn't know what to make of it at the time. I thought maybe they had retreated, you know. Anyway, we pushed on through the trench. Soon we hit this wall of fog. Well, we all thought it was gas at first. It was white and had a foul smell. I'll never forget it. Smelt like death, it did. Of course, during a trench raid, you don't have your gas mask. Too noisy, you see. You only go in with the bare minimum. This fog started to surround us. Before long, we were in the thick of it, all four of us. I closed my eyes, bracing myself, but it didn't burn my skin, didn't suffocate me. I opened my eyes and saw I was by myself. My sergeant and the other lads had gone. I was panicking, you know. I was frightened. It was deathly silent, no noise at all. I hadn't heard them walk off or say anything. I tried to head back from the way we came, but I must have got lost. I could barely see in front of me because of the fog. After about 10 minutes, things became very odd. The trench seemed to change the more I kept walking. It became this strange sort of hellish landscape. There were dead trees and barbed wire everywhere I looked. I stopped to try and gather my bearings a little better and noticed a figure in the distance, barely visible, but I could make it out. I walked toward the figure, and once I got to him, he turned around. He was a Tommy, but he had no face. It was as if his face was a strange lantern. He made this loud, low humming sound and began to shuffle toward me. I asked him what was happening, but he didn't answer. In a panic, I turned to run away, but found that more strange creatures, I suppose you can call them, were coming toward me. I managed to run past them. They were coming up from the mud, trying to grab at me as I ran. It was hard to get past them, but I did. All I could do was run back the way I came to try and get away. At one point, I tripped on some jagged metal and hit the dirt. I picked myself up, and just over the way from me was, I don't know what. It was some sort of tall creature, covered in debris and barbed wire. It made a terrible sound, absolutely frightening it was, and it started to come towards me. Well, I managed to run toward a dugout that was near me. My idea was to hide, you see. Well, I got into the dugout, and inside was a Jerry. Only a young fella. He was crying. I tried asking him if he knew a way out, but he wouldn't speak. I shook him hard, you know, and he looked at me and threw me to the ground. Didn't say a word, this boy, just kept crying. I never saw his face, but I heard him. I could hear those creatures still outside. It sounded like they were getting closer. I had nowhere to go. But this young Jerry, he got up. He walked over to the dugout entrance and stopped. I shouted at him. I said, "Don't you go out there, only a bloody fool would do that." And just like that, he walked through the fabric flap of the dugout. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. Something made me want to go after Skid, though. So I got myself up, and with all my strength, I sprinted through that fabric flap and back outside. Next thing, I was in a German trench again. I ran out and into about 10 Jerrys. They all pointed rifles at me, and I was taken as a prisoner of war. That was it. I still don't know what happened on that day, not a single idea. The other lads I was with were declared missing in action, which I only found out about after the war. They were never found. It's been 50 years since that day, and this is the only time I've ever mentioned it. You know, who would believe me? Who knows what happened? I thought maybe I'd gone to hell, but I was already in it.